Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series on Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio. Today, we're diving even deeper into the mystical world of Pu Songling. Liaozhai Ji, or simply Liaozhai, is a classic collection of nearly 500 short stories filled with ghosts, fox spirits, and strange creatures. Through these supernatural tales, we catch a glimpse of 17th century Chinese society. In today's episode, we'll explore 3 fascinating stories from the Liaozhai Quan II, the complete illustrated edition of Liaozhai, housed in the Austrian National Library, an incredibly rare 17-volume set. We're turning our focus to 3 gripping tales from the 32nd volume, the White Lotus Sect, Lord Hu Si, and Madame Qiu. These stories not only delve into the supernatural, but also reflect the unique social dynamics and human nature of the time. Are you ready? Let's uncover the mystery behind these strange and captivating stories. The White Lotus Sect story. There was once a member of the White Lotus Sect, a mysterious figure from Guangxu, whose name has long been forgotten. He was likely a man of the same ilk as Shu Hongru, known for using forbidden arts to deceive the masses. Many were drawn to his powers, and those who admired his sorcery took him as their master. One day, before he left on an errand, he placed a basin in the middle of the main hall and covered it with another. He then instructed his disciple to guard it carefully, warning him, "Do not, under any circumstance, lift the basin or peek inside." Curiosity gnawed at the disciple as his master left. Eventually, he gave in, carefully lifting the basin's lid. Inside, there was nothing but clear water, on the surface of which floated a tiny straw boat, complete with sail and mast. Intrigued, the disciple couldn't resist. He poked the boat with his finger, tipping it over. In a panic, he quickly righted it and covered the basin again. When the master returned, he was furious. "Why did you disobey my order?" he demanded. The disciple nervously denied it, insisting that he had followed instructions. The master's eyes blazed. "A ship at sea capsized just now. Do you think I wouldn't know?" On another occasion, the master lit a large candle in the main hall before departing and gave his disciple strict instructions. "Watch this flame carefully. Do not let it go out." The night dragged on, and by the second watch, the disciple, heavy with exhaustion, lay down to rest, drifting off to sleep. When he awoke, the candle had gone out. Panicking, he hurried to relight it. Upon the master's return, he immediately rebuked the disciple once more. "I told you not to let the candle go out. Why did you let it die?" "But master," the disciple protested, "I didn't sleep for long. The flame couldn't have gone out." The master glared at him. "I've just spent 10 li walking in complete darkness, yet you dare claim otherwise?" The disciple was stricken with terror, and so it went. One strange and terrifying event after another, too many to recount. But the most sinister event was yet to come. The White Lotus Sect leader's concubine began an illicit affair with the disciple. The master soon discovered their betrayal, but he said nothing, acting as though he were unaware. One day, he ordered the disciple to feed the pigs. As soon as the disciple entered the pigsty, he was transformed into a pig. Without hesitation, the master summoned a butcher, had the pig slaughtered, and sold its meat at the market. No one suspected a thing. Days passed, and the disciple's father, concerned by his son's prolonged absence, came to inquire. The master coolly replied, "Your son hasn't been here for quite some time." The father searched far and wide, but the disciple seemed to have vanished without a trace. One of the fellow students, knowing the dark truth, secretly confided in the father, revealing what had happened. Outraged, the father went straight to the magistrate. But the local magistrate, fearing the White Lotus Sect's power, dared not act against him. Instead, he reported the matter to his superiors, who sent 1,000 soldiers to surround the master's home. The sect leader's family, his wife and children were all arrested and bound. They were loaded into wooden cages, ready to be taken to the capital. However, as the convoy made its way through the treacherous Taihang Mountains, a monstrous figure emerged from the shadows. A giant, towering as tall as a tree, with eyes as large as bowls and a mouth the size of a basin, sharp teeth a foot long. The soldiers were petrified, unable to advance. The White Lotus Sect leader, calm and composed, said, "This is a demon. My wife can defeat it." Following his words, the soldiers untied his wife. Armed with a spear, she faced the giant. But as she approached, the giant roared in anger. With a single inhale, he sucked her in whole, swallowing her with terrifying ease. Panic spread among the troops. The sect leader remained unshaken. "Since you've killed my wife, you'll need my son now," he said. Reluctantly, the soldiers released his son, but just as before, the giant devoured him in a single gulp. Stunned and paralyzed with fear, the soldiers looked at each other in disbelief. The White Lotus Sect leader, feigning grief and rage, cried out, "You've taken both my wife and my son. How can I let this stand? Now I must face the monster myself." In desperation, the soldiers complied, unlocking the cage and handing him a weapon. He marched boldly toward the giant. The air was thick with tension as the two clashed. After a few moments of battle, the giant grabbed the sect leader, lifted him into the air, and, with one smooth motion, swallowed him whole. The soldiers could only watch in horror as the giant, now satisfied, calmly turned and disappeared into the mountains. The tale of Fox Lord Husi. Once upon a time in Laiwu, there lived a man named Zhang Shui, the elder brother of the Shanxi academician Zhang Daoyi. Zhang Shui was a carefree and spirited individual, unrestrained by the norms of society. One day, he heard rumors of a fox spirit inhabiting a particular household in the county. Intrigued by this tale, he decided to pay his respects, bringing a formal name card in hopes of an audience with the mystical fox. He approached the house, slid his card through a crack in the door, and waited. To his surprise, the door creaked open on its own. Zhang's servant was startled, retreating in fear, but Zhang Shui calmly straightened his robes and entered. Inside the house, he found an elegant hall with well-arranged furniture, though no one was visible. Bowing respectfully, he called out, "I come with sincere reverence. Since you have allowed me inside, why not grant me the honor of seeing your face?" From the empty air, a voice responded, "Thank you for visiting. It is rare to have such esteemed company. Please have a seat." Suddenly, 2 chairs slid into position. Zhang Shui sat down, and before him, a finely carved red lacquer tray appeared, floating in midair, carrying 2 cups of tea. Though still unseen, his host lifted 1 cup, and together they drank. The sound of sipping echoed in the room, yet the fox remained invisible. After tea, wine appeared, and the two continued to drink and converse. The fox introduced himself, saying, "I am Hu Si, the 4th in my family. People call me Lord Hu." Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and they shared a meal of delicacies like turtle and venison, prepared with exquisite spices. Servants, unseen but attentive, offered them wine and food. Everything Zhang Shui desired appeared with a mere thought, bringing him great joy. He left the fox's home in high spirits, drunk but satisfied. From that day on, Zhang Shui visited Hu Si every few days. The Fox Lord, in turn, also came to Zhang's home, adhering to the proper customs of guest and host. One day, Zhang Shui asked Lord Hu, "There is a witch in the southern part of the city. She claims to command fox spirits to heal people and charges them money. Do you know any foxes from her household?" Lord Hu scoffed, "That's nonsense. She has no foxes under her control." As Zhang rose to relieve himself, he overheard a small voice whisper, "I'd love to see this so-called fox witch for myself. Could you ask our master for permission?" Zhang smiled, recognizing the voice of one of Lord Hu's smaller foxes, and agreed. At the banquet table, Zhang requested, "May I take 1 or 2 of your attendants to investigate the witch's claims?" Reluctantly, Lord Hu agreed, and soon Zhang set off, mounted on a horse that appeared to guide itself, as if a fox was leading it. Along the journey, the small fox chatted with him, saying, "Whenever you feel fine sand fall on your clothing while traveling, you'll know we are by your side." They reached the witch's home, and she greeted Zhang with a smile. "What brings you here today? I heard your foxes are quite powerful. Is it true?" he asked. The witch's face turned serious. "Please, sir, don't speak so lightly of such matters, so my spirit's name is Flower Sister, not Fox." Before she could finish, a brick flew from nowhere and struck her arm, sending her reeling. Stunned, she accused Zhang. "Why did you attack me?" Zhang laughed. "Old woman, are you blind? How could I strike you when I've done nothing?" Bewildered, the witch was struck again, this time by a stone, and then mud splattered over her, making her look like a ghost. She cried out for mercy, begging Zhang to stop the assault. Laughing, Zhang called out to his unseen fox companions to relent, and the attack ceased. The witch, now trembling, emerged from her house, humiliated and apologetic. Zhang looked up and said, "Tell me, old woman, are your foxes as powerful as mine?" The witch, thoroughly defeated, apologized repeatedly. Zhang warned his fox friends to leave her be, and with that, he departed, triumphant. From that day on, whenever Zhang Shui walked alone and felt sand falling on his shoulders, he knew the foxes were watching over him. He would call out, and the foxes always responded. His newfound friendship gave him confidence, even when facing tigers or bandits. Over time, Zhang's bond with Husi deepened. One evening, while they were chatting, a rustling noise from the wall startled Zhang. "That must be my elder brother," Husi said. "Why not invite him to join us?" Zhang suggested. Husi chuckled. "His abilities are far more limited than mine. Catching a chicken is enough to satisfy him." Despite their close relationship, Zhang lamented one thing. He had never seen Husi in the flesh. "We've shared so much, but I've never had the pleasure of seeing you in person," he said. Husi replied, "Isn't friendship enough? Why is appearance so important?" One day, however, Husi invited Zhang to a farewell banquet. "I am returning to my birthplace in Shanxi," he announced. "Before I go, I will grant your wish to see me." Zhang looked around but saw nothing. Husi instructed him to open the door to the next room. When he did, Zhang saw a handsome young man smiling at him, dressed elegantly, his features strikingly beautiful. But in a flash, the youth disappeared. Husi's voice came from behind him. "Now your wish is fulfilled. Let's enjoy one last drink together." They drank late into the night, and when Zhang finally left, Husi walked him home by lantern light. The next morning, when Zhang returned to Husi's house, it was empty, as if no one had ever lived there. Later, when Zhang Shui's brother was appointed an academic official in Sichuan, Zhang visited him, hoping for some financial support. After a month with little success, Zhang left, feeling dejected. As he rode home, a young man on a fine horse approached him. "Why so downcast?" the youth asked. Zhang poured out his frustrations, and the young man comforted him. As they reached a crossroads, the young man said, "A friend has sent you a gift. Up ahead, someone will deliver it to you." Zhang continued and soon encountered an old servant carrying a small bamboo box. "Lord Husi sends his regards," the man said. Zhang opened the box to find it filled with silver, but when he looked up to thank the servant, the man had vanished. Zhang Sui smiled, finally understanding that even in absence, his old friend Husi still watched over him. The story of Lady Qiu unfolds during the tumultuous times of war, beginning with the abduction of Zhang, leaving behind two young sons, Qiu Fu and Qiu Lu, under the care of his second wife, Madame Xiao. Meanwhile, Zhang's uncle, eyeing the family estate, made multiple attempts over the years to convince Madame Xiao to remarry. She refused each time. Frustrated, the uncle secretly arranged to sell Madame Xiao to a wealthy household. Wei Ming, a jealous local busybody, somehow got wind of this and, not wishing to see the Qiu family thrive, spread vicious rumors about Madame Xiao's character. These rumors reached the wealthy family and the marriage proposal was called off. Soon after, Madame Xiao learned of the aborted marriage and the rumors. The shock left her paralyzed and bedridden. By this time, Qiu Fu, the elder son, was 16 and married a clever and capable woman, Madame Jiang, who took control of the household and made sure Qiu Lu went to school. Wei Ming, envious of their apparent stability, hatched another wicked plan. He began befriending Qiu Fu, luring him into frequent drinking sessions and earning his trust. Over time, Qiu Fu came to see Wei Ming as a confidant. Seizing the opportunity, Wei Ming planted the seed of discontent, urging Qiu Fu to split the family estate, arguing that Qiu Lu and Madame Xiao were living off his hard work. Qiu Fu, swayed by Wei Ming, returned home to discuss the idea with his wife. Madame Jiang scolded him severely, and when he took the matter to Madame Xiao, she too berated him harshly. Angered, Qiu Fu turned to gambling, wasting his days and money. Unable to control him, Madame Xiao reluctantly agreed to the division of the estate. After the split, Qiu Fu became reckless and lost himself in gambling, eventually squandering the entire family fortune. When he could no longer pay his debts, he did the unthinkable. He sold his wife to a local bandit, Zhao Yanluo. Fearing she wouldn't comply, Qiu Fu tricked his wife into going to Zhao's house. Upon realizing the situation, Madame Jiang was heartbroken. Despite Zhao Yanluo's threats and coercion, she refused to yield, and in an act of defiance, she stabbed her throat with her hairpin. As if things couldn't get worse, Wei Ming added fuel to the fire by reporting the incident to Madame Zhang's family. Her father was furious and took the matter to the local authorities. Chu Fu fled in the night, while Zhao Yanluo, arrogant and unrepentant, was summoned to court and promptly beaten to death for his crimes. Madame Zhang was taken back by her family to recover, and the once prosperous Chu household was left in ruins. Chu Lu, only 15, was now alone, with an empty house and no support. The Chu family had one other member, Chu Zhong's daughter from his first marriage, Lady Qiu, who had long since married and lived far away. Known for her strong-willed nature, she had rarely visited her family after her marriage due to a strained relationship with her father. Wei Ming, never satisfied with the chaos he caused, sent word to Lady Qiu, falsely claiming that Madame Shao was on her deathbed and warning her not to let the family estate fall into the hands of outsiders. Not long after, Lady Qiu returned, bringing her young son with her. Chu Lu tearfully recounted the tragic events that had befallen the family. Lady Qiu listened silently, then after the meal announced her intention to take the gamblers who had swindled the family to court for cheating them out of their land. The gamblers, not wanting trouble with the authorities, quickly pooled together some money and offered it to Lady Qiu. She accepted it, but still pressed charges, determined to restore her family's name. The local magistrate was slow to act, so Lady Qiu took the case to the provincial governor. The governor, known for his disdain of gambling, was moved by Lady Qiu's passionate plea and ordered the return of the land. Lady Qiu, now widowed, moved back to her natal home with her young son. She took over the care of Madame Shao, guided her younger brother Chu Lu, and managed the household, slowly bringing order and prosperity back to the Qiu family. Soon after, she began arranging a marriage for Chu Lu, though rumors spread by Wei Ming claimed that the Qiu family was completely controlled by Lady Qiu, leaving Chu Lu with nothing. One day, on his way back from school, Chu Lu encountered Wei Ming, who feigned friendship and invited him to a nearby garden. Wei Ming knew the gardener and used this connection to gain entry. After some time, Wei Ming excused himself, telling Chu Lu to wait near a red lacquered door. As Chu Lu stood there, he heard the sound of women's laughter coming from inside, and it suddenly dawned on him that this was the inner courtyard of someone's home. Alarmed, he turned to leave, but it was too late. He had been caught in a compromising situation. Master Fan tested Chu Lu by giving him a couplet to complete. The first line was, "A name struck, yet seems unlike," to which Chu Lu replied with the second line, "Silver fading, helpless plight." Master Fan was overjoyed. Fan had a daughter named Huiniang, who was both talented and beautiful. She had composed the first line of the couplet. The night before, Huiniang had dreamt that someone told her her future husband would fall into water the next day. With the couplet mentioning falling into water, and Chu Lu actually having fallen into the stream, Huiniang, who had been secretly observing from behind a screen, was very pleased. The Fan family then proposed to marry Huiniang to Chu Lu and invited him to live with them. Chu Lu said he would return home to discuss it before giving an answer. Chu Danyang took charge and agreed to the marriage. Chu Lu stayed with the Fan family for a year, during which time he passed the provincial exam and became a scholar. Afterward, he moved back to his family home. Huiniang brought along a considerable dowry and several servants, making the Qiu household appear as wealthy as any noble family. Wei Ming, seeing that Chu Lu had turned his misfortune into fortune, became envious and devised a wicked plan. He bribed a runaway slave to falsely accuse Chu Lu of being a bandit, leading to Chu Lu being sentenced to exile. Not wanting to drag his wife down with him, Chu Lu wrote a divorce letter for Huiniang before leaving for the borderlands. Once in exile, Chu Lu, being physically weak, was assigned to clerical duties by the general. One day during a casual conversation, someone suddenly cried out in shock and then burst into tears. It turned out that this person was none other than Chu Zhong, Chu Lu's long-lost father. After being captured by bandits, Chu Zhong had managed to escape to the borderlands. The father and son reunited in a tearful embrace. Chu Lu diligently served under the general, never shirking his duties. One day, after the general had won a significant battle, he was in high spirits. Taking advantage of the good mood, Chulu recounted his unjust treatment. After conducting a thorough investigation and pulling some strings, the general helped clear Chulu's name and restore his innocence. While Chulu was in exile, Chufu, having served his punishment, returned home. Chu Danyang treated him coldly, ordering him around like a servant, giving him all the hard and dirty work. Chufu, however, did not complain. 6 months later, Chu Danyang entrusted him with handling some financial matters, and when she saw that he kept the accounts meticulously, she finally began to trust him again. Later, Chulu returned home, bringing his father, Chu Zhong, with him. Chufu brought back Zhang, and Chulu also reunited with Huiniang. The family was finally whole and happy again. Chu Danyang, having secured the family's property and future, quietly left. Chufu and Chulu immediately mounted their horses and chased after her, pleading with her to stay. After much convincing, she finally agreed to return. Each chapter of the Chu family's story is filled with tension and drama. Pu Songling coveted the family estate. Wei Ming spread slander and rumors. Madame Xiao endured internal and external hardships, raising Chufu and Chulu. Madame Xiao suffered from stress and illness, while Zhang took charge of the household. Wei Ming sowed discord, leading Chufu into gambling, which resulted in the family's downfall and separation. Chu Danyang fought to reclaim the family's estate, while Wei Ming tricked Chulu into entering a private courtyard, but this misfortune led to Chulu marrying a good wife. Wei Ming then falsely accused Chulu, leading to his exile, but Chulu reunited with his father, cleared his name, and returned home free of guilt. Chufu repented, Chulu was exonerated, and both brought their wives back, leading to a harmonious and prosperous family. Chu Danyang, having fulfilled her duty, withdrew, but her brothers, grateful for her efforts, persuaded her to stay. Whether it was Madame Xiao, Zhang, or Chu Danyang, each woman stepped up fearlessly in the Chu family's darkest hours, holding the family together. Madame Xiao faced internal and external strife, Zhang dealt with her husband's downfall, and Chu Danyang stood strong amidst the wolves, safeguarding the family's estate. For a family to thrive, it cannot be filled with confusion and indecision. There must be a strong pillar to hold it together. The rest of the family must remain united, avoid selfishness, and act with integrity, working together with a common purpose. In conclusion, the 3 stories from Volume 32 of Liao Zhai, The White Lotus Sect, Master Hu Si, and Lady Qiu, each offer a deep reflection on the complexity of human nature, social injustice, and the power of resilience. The White Lotus Sect exposes how faith and superstition can be manipulated, leading to both tragedy and revolution. Master Hu Si delves into themes of loyalty and deception, questioning the fragility of trust and relationships. Lady Qiu portrays the strength and courage of women in upholding family honor during times of crisis, underscoring the importance of integrity and perseverance. These stories explore resistance against oppression and the difficult moral choices individuals face when confronted with hardship. They invite us to reflect on human motives and the dynamic between fate, character, and social norms. This ancient tale of Lady Qiu, though written centuries ago, serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of greed, betrayal, and the necessity of standing firm in the face of adversity. It is a reflection of human drama, not a moral guide, and should be appreciated as such. For more fascinating stories and in-depth explorations of Eastern painting techniques and ancient tales, we invite you to subscribe to Eastern Brush, Western Soul, where we delve into both the visual and literary arts of the East. Don't forget to share and stay tuned for more.